We're back, Marty.
We're back, Vic. We're back, DJ Jose.
Hey.
Welcome to the Miami NightLife show.
Welcome. Man.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And I wanted to congratulate you for your new radio station.
Thank you. Excited.
Marty's going to tell you all about it.
Yes, well, actually, he's going to tell us about it.
But you're going to promote the name because you're the girl, you're the model.
Of course it is. And guess what? I got a t-shirt. You didn't get a t-shirt.
I know. He's just asking me for the
size. It's coming.
He told me, what size are you?
Look at this. So, Jose, tell me about the radio station because I think everybody's excited to hear about Forever Young.
Sure. So Forever Young, the name, so let's start with that, comes from really my favorite all-time song, which is an Alphaville song called Forever Young. And so I've always said that Forever Young is my anthem. So anybody that knows me knows that song is my anthem. So been months, probably even years, in thinking about putting together a radio station that was a little bit different. We heard about Rewind 103.9, we've heard about other radio stations, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit different, that would bring the old and the new together into one platform, right? Because typically what you hear is, or specifically radio station, is going to have kind of the same music throughout the day, right? So I wanted to bring the best of all worlds into one platform so that we can enjoy something different every hour on the hour. And that's actually what we've been able to accomplish.
What's your question? Are you going to be playing old music and new music from the artists of the past that take out new music?
Yes, as well. So for example, you're talking about like Disco House. We talked about Disco House. So
and we have Fran Jolie that you're going to
play. Exactly. So Fran Jolie just came up with her latest single.
Which you're going to premiere it exclusive at Forever Young Radio on the Disco House.
Yes. That will be premiered in one of our sessions. And again, back to the radio station. So every hour on the hour, we're changing the mix. We're changing the genre. So we could be playing yacht rock, which Alex Quintero spoke about. We could be playing jazz. We could be playing house, disco house, trance, EDM, classic disco, freestyle disco, Italo disco. Every hour on the hour, we're changing it up so that we don't bore people with the same thing over and over again.
Are you going to introduce Reggaeton House?
Not yet.
Why not, DJ Jose?
We will take it under consideration.
That's my thinking, because the disco house and the freestyle house, that's my thing. I want to hear all those like
Latino house, Afro house, as well.
I have something coming up that you're gonna like.
Okay.
I'm doing something like Proyecto Uno.
Okay.
Kind of beat. With some of my new song, but I'm not gonna tell you. It's a secret. No. Yeah, well, it's like that kind of beat of Tiburon, but I'm putting it in my own style.
Okay.
But did you know? It's really quick. That Victor's famous song, Los Sucios, La Sucia, was actually, what you were explaining to me the other day, like a house something. Can you explain it?
People thought it was like freestyle, but it was really acid house. If you
really?
look at the back of the record, it's
on the
acid
vinyl.
House.
So they categorize it as acid house.
It's
really
acid
interesting.
House.
So that's one thing that I wanted you to feature. I don't know which, of the house department you're going to feature him. But wow, I didn't know that until I saw the vinyl the other day.
And I'm going to give you the record, so if you like it,
absolutely. We will feature it in one of the mixes.
And it's acid house. It has that without that electronic stuff.
In fact, we'll create a special acid house mix which will feature your song.
Oh, thank you, man.
There you go. So, where can they download the information to have it on their phone or in their laptop or computer?
Yeah, it's very simple, really. It's just a website. It's www.foreveryoung.com. And you can create a shortcut or a favorite on your mobile device to get to the site, and it becomes just like an app. We decided to go against the app idea because there's different ways, different technologies that can be used today, and that's the world I live in because I'm a technologist, so that we didn't have to go the route of creating both an iOS and an Android app. So we did what's called a progressive web app. Works the same way, has the same features, same experience. Certainly you can do it on your mobile phone or you can do it on your computer as well.
And I'm not a tech, and the other day I was like, it took me like days. I was just going to my, the WW. And then Jose got my phone in a second. He goes, oh, there's on my phone. So it's that easy. I mean, you don't have to go through a whole explanation. Just have a tech, look at the phone. Look, he has to do it for Vic.
There you go. We'll set you up as well.
There you go.
I'll leave you right there. We don't have time.
So what's ahead for Forever Young?
Well, you know, we continue to evolve our portfolio in terms of the mixes. I'm adding more DJs. Right now we have myself, Luis Almeida out of Tampa. We have Monica Rodriguez in Miami as well.
DJ Stella, shout out to DJ Stella.
Is that a girl?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
The
it
first
is.
girl that I ever seen
Yes.
in a radio station.
We've added Luis Almeida out of South Africa, and we've added Renee Schindler out of the Netherlands. Have a couple of other global DJs that we're looking at. We have actually Studio 54X DJ that we're considering as well. So we're going to continue to add more DJs to kind of expand our portfolio of music.
And
mixes.
of course, those house DJs here in Miami, which
Yes.
I'm going to say it out there,
Yep.
Made in Miami DJs, which I've reached out to a couple of them, and hope to have our friend Oscar G, which is Miami based. These are residences here in Miami House. So we can't forget that.
Yeah,
and
definitely
that has to
Oscar
be
G.
featured in Forever Young.
He's a great DJ for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
So Jose, thanks for coming here
Thank
today.
you.
You're an
Thank you.
amazing person, amazing friend, amazing soul,
Thank
and
you.
we're so proud of you and so happy for your radio
Yeah.
station. It's gonna be amazing, and God bless you,
God
and
bless
thank you for
guys.
everything.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
Mari, and Fake the Kid Sucio. And we'll be right back, okay? Don't say that we're lovers, but we're not.
No, we're not. We're
best
really good friends.
We're good friends.
Oh, God.
We're back from commercial, Mari.
Yes, we are. And I'm so excited because I have two legendary individuals, which we're going to talk about. We have Rick Quintero from Club 1235, and we have Tom Flott, which is the manager at Club 1235 back in the 1980s. So, welcome, Rick, to the Miami Nightlife Show.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you where Rick first started DJing. You know, he came up to me one time when I met him. I don't know where I met him. It was such a long time ago. I met him and he told me, hey, kid, you came to Village Inn. He was really young. Hey, can I get a job here at Village Inn mixing? I said, are you good? And I said, well, try me out. So I tried him out. The manager liked him. They gave him a job there. And then a month later, I hear that he tells me, no, man, I got a job at 1235.
Wow, that's impressive.
No, that's right. I happened to be in the Grove. Village Inn was in Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
So I happened to walk in there with my girlfriend at the moment. You know, I was like, I don't know, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, you know, do you have any openings? And you're like, well, I know we have openings on certain nights. So, you know, I kind of DJ'd around there for a little bit. I spun. And, you know, Victor gave me a job. But, you know, always, you know, trying to aspire to supersede and move up. And so I told him, hey, I'm going to apply at 1235. It was just kind of pretty much, that was my next step. I mean, at that moment.
Correct.
In the 80s.
And I remember you got the job. You were spinning. You called me one day and said, hey, I want you to be a DJ, a guest DJ at the club and mix. There's some mixes there on a single Saturday night. It was packed.
Oh.
And I was scared because it was packed. I never done a pack.
Oh, yeah, 1235. Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you know, that club held like thousands of people. I believe it was like, I think the capacity was 3,000. I don't know, Tom, are you there? Was it 3,000?
Yeah, it was 3,000, but there was many nights when I don't think nobody was counting. It was probably 3,500, 4,000 to come in and out throughout the course of the night.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and you'd go outside on the street and you look down Washington Avenue and you'd say, okay, man, there's headlights like as far as you could see, all the way down, you know, and you knew it was going to be one of those special nights. So it was an incredible time.
Right. And you know what? And that pretty much we were like the only club, so there was no traffic for any other reason except 1235. I mean, that
The
was
lines
it.
outside, the lines I made.
Yeah. I mean, what happened was, you know, the history real quick. You know, Club Z took that old theater. It was an old theater called the French Casino And so the Brandt family, there was, a nice New York Jewish family owned that property. I believe they still own it today. Anyway, it was an old theater. They owned a lot of theaters in New York, in Broadway. And so they did an amazing job making the club, like Studio 54, light and sound. They spared nothing. I mean, they had every dollar into it. When I first went into it, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, it was a gem, and it still is today. It's a deco gem. And when we opened it, it was right when gambling was trying to work its way into the vote, and it was downturned. And so then there was a lot of money there, and 1235 was really it. There wasn't anything else going on. It was still Vagrants, run down Ocean Drive, and that club took off just like Studio 54. In fact, before Rick took the job there, we fired. The first time I had to fire anybody, I was only 25 at the time. I had to fire a disc jockey from Studio 54 that we were flying in because we wanted Rick to take the job. He was more local kid.
What's his name, Tom?
Bill, what was his name, Rick? I can't remember his name. Wanted Rick. And it was probably like 1985, late 1985, early 1986. The club had just opened. And I should say the club really had a great reopening. We used the Miami Vice second season premiere to open the club. And so there was, Jan Michael Phillips, Don Johnson, Jermaine Stewart, who was later had a top 40 record, kind of a Michael Jackson lookalike. He was there that night hanging around, and it was just really a great party. Entertainment Tonight did the show right when Entertainment Tonight and cable TV was taking off, and that launched the club. And of course, then clubs are kind of interesting because you want to try to keep that kind of energy, that kind of clientele. What happened with Z? It was like a rocket that went straight up and came straight down. They got out of control. They was mismanaged. There was no management per se in terms of control and business side. A lot of drugs going on. So the Grants just took it back. If you say, what happened to Z? They just took it back because it was terribly mismanaged. And I think they saw the opportunity. So it was exciting for young people like myself and Debbie Alpy and Rick, because we felt comfortable that this family, which there were 4 attorneys, they were longtime South Beach, really good people, they checked out. So my father didn't have a problem with me leaving a pretty good job, or my wife at the time, and jumping into it, because this family was, pretty solid. And the room was just intense. I mean, it was an amazing room. Tina Turner had played in Z. I mean, it was something else. And so it was a really exciting time.
Wow. Yeah, I remember.
Wow, so much history there. I mean, we don't want to give too much away of it. I mean, what's coming next. But wow, that's a lot of information that I don't think Miami.
No,
nobody knows.
This is behind the scenes.
This is behind
the scenes that we didn't even know. But also Sylvester played there. Sylvester was one guy that they never mentioned, but he had great music back in the disco days, back in the dance music, and he was a great performer. And he died at an early age, but we surely miss him. Those people that know him, we surely miss him, and he was a great artist, like I said.
He was fun. I took him to the hotel. We put him up at the Fontainebleau, and he was pretty colorful. He was a character. But his music, Sylvester's music, and Rick can speak to this, really spoke to the type of music. There was a high energy. Yep. There was still classic disco was still in the mix. So guys like Sylvester, or even trying to think of a couple other ones. Who was the gal, Rick?
Julie?
She was a New York chick. I'm trying to think of her name right now.
New York chick.
Evelyn Champagne King. There was still a lot of that kind of sound, and then Rick came in, and there was a lot of a kind of an upbeat kind of Euro sound, but you still had classic disco in the mix, Evelyn Thomas, people like Gish Ledesma were hanging around the club, longtime disco, local disco champion that he is.
Company
he's
B.
That you should have him in here, because he's really, in Miami history, him and Joe Stone and people like that are really kind of like the core founders of the dance sound.
Yeah, well, the history of Company B is like, one day I went to Ish's house. I'm like, hey, Ish, why don't we just write a song, man?
Yeah.
And there was Fascinated and Jam on Me. And
And you remember his wife worked in the club too for a while, Rick.
Lori.
Yeah, Lori worked in the club, and then we actually premiered that song because that song took
Yep.
off up the top 40 charts.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
was one of the big nights there. But the biggest night, and this would have been 85 to 87, would have been when we premiered Bob Rosenberg and his Will the Power Dreamin' record.
Wow.
Yeah, Rick and Bob had a real good working relationship. They did New Year's Eve together. So you'd see Rosenberg and Quintero in the box a lot together. But that record, that was a top 40 record. That album went platinum, and we premiered it in 1235. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think there ever was more energy in the club than that night. You couldn't even move. The place was caulked.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a space, and it was magical.
And I'm thankful for 1235 because Debbie actually got spots on 1235 as promotions for radio and enabled me to do a live show on Hot 105. So I became Hot Mix Master Rick Quintero, and Bill Tanner hired me directly. And as we all know, I believe he just recently passed away. I think about a year ago or 6 months.
wow.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, a beautiful moment in time for me, as definitely 100%. We have so many stories. I mean, we have stories about the rafters up top with the lighting. I mean, we would just sometimes I would put the actual reel-to-reel on for a second, and we just go up to the rafters above, watching the people, thousands of people dancing, going like, wow, this is cool. Imagine a teenager, or a 20-year-old, whatever age I was at that moment, just looking down and going, this is cool.
Yeah.
So I remember going on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I know Fridays were the alternative night. We actually had our guest, Alan, but we couldn't, feature him. We had so many guests tonight, but we are gonna have another episode with featuring, the other alternative and progressive, night at Club 1235, which was on Friday, which Dead or Alive performed at Club 1235, and I was there that night. Just amazing. I mean, 1235 they had also teen night, correct? I don't remember.
Later on, because there was a lot of competition. The Parallel Bar was rolling. Casanova's was always rolling. Then you had big clubs in Lauderdale. So, at some point, these mega clubs, you just burn out, and so then we had to kind of start,
Reinventing.
And the teen business was a big business. I mean, teens were paying $10, $15 to get in, and you could have a big night on an off night when, the adult crowd wasn't coming out. So, Fridays became a night like that,
Right.
But
Wow.
And something I was going to tell you something. Mari just did a couple months ago. She did a 1225 reunion. Okay, she did a big, and it was a good turnout. And who do we have there?
We featured one of the DJs that DJ'd at Club 1235 for Teen Night, DJ Quinn, Richard Quintero.
Yes.
The same last name as Rick.
Rick Quintero, official 1235 DJ. Rick Quintero is me.
That's right.
Let's be clear.
So, Tom,
Yes.
did you recall having a Richard Quintero as a DJ with the same last name as Rick?
My tenure would have been when it opened as 1235 in 85, and then I was there till about 88, and then by that time, I think the club was starting to change hands a little bit, and that's when Richard Quinn, because I had a nice conversation with him when that reunion occurred a few months back. I didn't know there was actually a Richard Quintero that came behind Rick Quintero.
The legend, Rick Quintero.
Right.
Let's be clear.
Correct. So that 1235 I didn't know very well.
So he did reach out to you because that's what's out there. And when I decided to actually feature Club 35 like tonight is to set the information correctly because it's so many years and so many information, and Richard Quintero did the reunion and he basically said that he was the DJ. He didn't say he was a DJ for a night or so forth. So we did a reunion, and we actually did a party after that, which turned out great. So then he ventured into something else, London Ballroom and stuff like that. And then we featured, the Miami Nightlife, featuring other clubs and bringing in the correct information. Because after 25 years, you're not going to remember 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 DJs. So, I mean, nobody's going to remember. People want to remember positive things and fun times.
At the end of the day, Tom Flood will remember everything, and so will Debbie Alpe. And the only reason I'm here is pretty much to just explain my moment in that history of Miami. And if you don't have a business card,
And you gave me one, and I still have it.
Yes.
and if you don't have a business
still have
card,
it.
if you don't have
There you
business,
go.
if you don't have business cards, if you don't have business cards from 1235, you were never working there. All right, and Tom, I just pulled out about 20 business cards from 1235 right now.
And I have one that he gave me like around 40 years ago.
And these are the same ones.
This is history. This is history.
They don't have they didn't have Costco back then.
No, they have,
But
and it's full
joking
color.
aside,
They have full colors.
Go ahead, Tom.
When the Brants relaunched the club, and Rick, it was special because they were really a good people, good family. They were different than us. I mean, we were Miami people, Miami kids. These were business people. They were, attorneys. But they wanted something that would look like, feel like Studio 54, and that's why they went out and got themselves a quality membership director, Debbie Alpe, and we tried to do things the right way. I mean, many nights I'd wear a tux when we first opened. Like we really wanted the place to be really upscale, and we would meet with a lot of people from New York that would come down so that they could try. They were really trying to graph off of that whole Studio 54. Studio 54 had networking parties, and we tried to do that in Miami, but it just didn't stick the same way. I mean, New York is completely different dynamic than Miami, but we did a lot of good things there, and it was a tremendous thing. The challenge, though, even with Studio or the Palladium in New York or the big clubs, Limelight in Atlanta, when you got 3,000 capacity and you got that kind of space, it's really hard to make it happen year in, year out, because they burn out, and people change. Like all of a sudden, they don't want to be in big clubs; they want to be in house parties.
No.
They want to be at the local pub.
I got you, Tom. Listen, so let's talk about Maria. Let's talk about Maria. Remember, let's explain who Maria is. 1235, the mother of 1235.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was like the hawk.
Well, she made sure that the money was counted and that the club could be profitable.
But she wouldn't let me drink. I would try and get a drink from a bartender as the DJ, and she was like, "Rick, you cannot have a drink. You're below underage." So I had to sneak my beer in. Literally, I would sneak my beer in and crack it open and go to the bathroom every now and then and just take a swig. I was like, "Wait, is this real? I'm in the 80s."
She was there for the Club Z year, and that was a freaking disaster. I mean, they guys were doing drugs, cocaine upstairs. I mean, they just didn't run a good business, and and they didn't want their name associated with that because it was their property. They leased it to people, Club Z, to operate it, and it was a real mess. And I look back on that now and go, yeah, that's not a way to run a business. I mean, there appears to be like this glamour in it, particularly back then in the 80s when Miami was kind of like, cocaine cowboy, Miami Vice. But I mean, it's not a way to run a business.
Absolutely not. But it was an amazing, legendary club, which everyone in Miami partied. Everyone went. And people from New York and California, from a world country will come to 1235. It's a legendary pioneer, club in Miami.
You remember walking up that foyer, Marty? Remember when you come in the front door and you walked up that foyer into the mother of pearl bar? Rick, you could see Rick and the DJs at Hot 105 in '96. At the end of the night, they'd be hanging out there. It was just really fun. The music crowd would hang out there. Expose. Rick James would come in with a couple hookers. About every other weekend. Yeah. And Gloria Estefan, when they were Miami Sound Machine. Her and Emilio, I always felt bad because they didn't have a super big hit record yet, and they weren't really like, this is before they were mega. And we didn't always take such good care of them because they'd come in and the place would be packed, and we didn't know what to do with them, where to put them. But that was before they made it super big. We didn't let Debbie Gibson play there because I just felt like Debbie Gibson was a white girl with sneakers and it didn't fit.
Oh, wow.
Rick would have killed me. Rick would play her records, but we didn't want Debbie Gibson to play there.
Let's not talk about artists.
No, yeah, let's not talk about artists.
Okay, so,
Yeah, let's talk about Rick Quintero, okay?
Yeah.
That's for another episode.
right,
No,
so,
let me
yeah,
tell you,
so,
my favorite memory of Rick, the club had incredible lighting. It was done by C Factor. It was the same lighting that U2 would use on their concert tour. So, I mean, they spared nothing. When they would put those lasers on, you all might remember those lasers. Rick would slip into Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, and man, that place would be smoking. I mean, those were the kinds of things that Rick did as a disc jockey that we felt like, you know what, I don't care if you're in Atlanta, New York, there's nobody's rocking a freaking club like that. We didn't give a shit about his technique or anything. We just felt the whole package. Quintero coming in, he was a sweet kid, great looking kid, great disc jockey, had a huge following. He couldn't make a mistake for any of us. And he knew how to work that light and sound into his mix. And Rick, I think you did it better than Bob Rosenberg. And if Bob Rosenberg's listening or he hears this, well, he'll be pissed at me again. Won't be the last time.
Well, he's coming in. He was supposed to be a guest today, but it was just too packed. So he's going to be in the next one with A.B. Gonzalez and Bob Merrill. Yeah.
and you know something, when I took I was a photographer at one time. Just to be a photographer, I had to sign a contract because they didn't let me take pictures in some of the areas. I had a certain area that would take pictures, and I remember I still have the contract of that 1235 back in 1980. I think it was 85.
Yeah, 85.
85.
Wow.
And I still have the contract with my name and everything on it that I couldn't use the pictures for nothing. And they were like Studio 54. You couldn't.
Yeah, well, the Brants, there was 4 of them: John, Gary, Bobby, and Jimmy. John, Gary, Bobby, and Jimmy. They would take turns coming down for the weekend and kind of overseeing, being involved in the club. But they would let Debbie Alfie and myself kind of work it, and then Rick was in the box, and that was kind of how we did it. But they were very legal-minded people. They wanted to take care of their business, and I mean, it was an unbelievable space. I mean,
Tom,
I dreamt about it.
Tom, question.
Yeah.
So, what is the most craziest thing? Because you were behind the scenes, man. I mean, I've asked you this in the past, and you've said some crazy stuff. Because I was always busy, like DJing and what comes to mind in terms of like what crazy shit went down at 1235, in your opinion? Forget about the girls checking me out while I was DJing, but you could mention that too, by the way, because you know what, you always used to tell me that.
I'll give you a couple stories. I mean, we obviously, there was a lot of attention when Rick was in the box, but you all might remember, there was a beautiful champagne lounge that kind of was at the top, second floor, top of the club. It was 3 or 4 boxes. And they were glass boxes, and they were just beautiful boxes. And there was a lot of 305 gangster, the crowd that would come in, and they were well behaved. But they'd always ask you to sit down and have a drink with them. We're like, no, I don't think so. If somebody comes in and shoots you guys, you're not going to have me in the middle. But you had that, and then we had probably a security team of about 25 bouncers, and if somebody did anything, they were thrown out the back door so quick you didn't even know they were in the club. Then the Weather Girls. I remember the Weather Girls. They came, and I didn't know what the Weather Girls looked like. I didn't realize they were both like 300 pounds. But I give them their cash, and they stuff it in their bra before they go on stage and like bear hug me, and I'm like, what the fuck? It's just really, and they were terrific. I mean, it's Raining Men. Rick would play that record about every other night, and they would come in and they did it live. But the crowds were basically behaved. We didn't have a lot of fights or anything. Early on, it was a pretty fashionable crowd. We did a lot of radio with Hot 105 and 96X at the time, or Power 96, and it really worked really well. I mean, it really did. But it's hard to keep that high-end crowd,
Yes.
because
With a large capacity, we had so many people. It was such a large club. It's hard to keep.
Obviously.
Obviously, if you have a small club, then it's easy to keep it. Like like Faces in the Grove, like a small place. But when you got thousands of people, it's like, how do you?
It is.
Because you want to sell champagne, you want to do all that, and the club had incredible potential. I mean, when you can get 3,500 people in and you had beautiful champagne space, I mean, you could do $100,000 nights there. We were doing $100,000 nights.
Back then.
Yeah. I mean, like I will tell you, I look back at like New Year's Eve. I mean, those were well over $100,000 nights. And you start thinking about how you generate $100,000 night even today in 2022 in a club.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? But again, it was to be the Studio 54 of South Florida, and in a lot of ways, aesthetically, it was a prettier club, a bigger club. Studio 54 had the people thing going on. They were able to, get the celebrities and all that kind of stuff, and we had our fair share, but we were a different breed.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty wild. And hey, you know what, Tom? I appreciate, you like chiming in. It's awesome to bring the.
That was a big surprise to have you. I mean, I've been sending you messages for months. I just wanted to hear everything that you said today. I mean, I wanted to set the information correctly. I think Miami wanted to hear that. Exactly, and people remember. I mean, when you say 1235, they remember. They're just, they're great times. It's history, and I think Miami wants to continue to hear more of Club 1235. And like I said, I did, 2 events with DJ Quinn, and I will continue, to promote Club 1235 because it was very special for me among many other clubs. And maybe along the line we'll do a reunion. Maybe you could come down and have Rick and have everyone back then, and that's what you really call a real reunion.
And make a real big party with the real people.
I've been out of Miami for 15 years now. What's the status with 1235 Washington Avenue today with the space? Is anybody operating it?
Nothing. It's been like that for years.
It's closed.
I think the last time I checked, I asked someone, a real estate, I think they wanted like $50,000 a month. And you're talking about they're probably about between $650,000 to $1 million, and you need to have as a backup. So who can generate, like you said, today probably on a night like that, a club like that will probably make close to $150,000. And if you have an artist, you can sell tickets for, you got VIPs for $3,500 or $5,000, $10,000, and that's live, that's story, But you need.
I would love to be able to walk around in it just to check it out.
It's a multi-million-dollar business today, and 1235 then will be today, Live or Story or Club 11. I mean, you got David Grumman running these high-end clubs, so imagine that's why that space is, because it's you're competing with big companies. Now it's not the same. So But I would love to do a reunion there. Could you imagine?
Let's do it.
The age of the big clubs it's kind of hard now, because you're talking, that club was big. When there was 1,500 people and it looked like it was dead.
Yes. Yes.
So,
All right, Tom.
anyway.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It was an honor to meet you. And
thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
yes, and
Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, is Rick going to play any music tonight?
Yeah,
I was hoping that Rick would do a little spin here.
Here it goes. Here comes the
do
music.
it.
Scratch that bass.
I love
Play
it.
that funky,
Used to say Rick
play that
Quintero,
funky
always
music, what boy?
I love it. Thank you, Tom, for joining us
All
in
right,
Miami
guys.
Nightlife.
All right, Tom. I love you, brother.
Thank you, Tom.
Man, take care, guys.
All right.
Bye. We'd like to thank you for coming by.
My friend, thank you so much.
And you know what?
What?
That's the end of the show.
It is?
Yes, so we ended it with 1235 Rick. the original-
Legendary Club 1235.
And we're gonna be bringing you more shows about many more clubs and what else?
And events and reunions. And we are going to soon have our Let's Talk podcast.
Yes, sir. We're gonna be talking about a
¿Qué
lot of stuff.
pasa, Miami?
¿Qué pasa, Miami?
Oh, I like that.
¿Qué pasa,
Yes.
Miami? We're gonna be talking about la sabuesera,
Real talk.
the real talk. What happens in Miami?
Gossip, and don't get insulted if we mention
Yeah,
you.
we don't want to mention no names, but we're gonna talk about why people talk about you, why people talk about everybody, and if they don't talk about you, it's better they talk about you bad, good, or whatever, but they're still talking about you.
That's right. You hear that, Rick?
I
You
heard
hear that, Rick?
Yes.
So, and don't forget, we have DJs. Tell us something about what we have on our website. They want DJs.
You go on our website, www.miaminightlife.show.live, and you can find all our information, you know, t-shirts for sale, and all of
The
our
hat.
fun
We have masses with our names on it. Everything.
promotions and all that.
Promotion, everything.
Stay tuned,
We have
guys.
DJs too. If they want DJs for their parties, for the event, if they want photography.
Okay, it's time to go, Vic.
Okay.
We've had a lot of guests
I
tonight.
know we have a lot.
We're
we have
tired, very tired.
Very tired.
Thank you, Miami.
Thank
We
you.
love you. Goodbye. The Miami Nightlife Show. Stay tuned.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Bye bye. Mari Mari, Vic the Kid. Es sucio.
Thank you, Miami Nightlife, for having me on your show. It's a privilege. And thank you so much for keeping us artists, disco artists alive. And thank you for featuring us. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. God
love
bless
you.
you guys.
And I still got all your pictures.
Oh, I want to see them.
So whenever you want them, I got the whole college. I got you when you were young, when you're still young, and you're still young
I'm beautiful.
and beautiful.
Thank you. Love you guys. Mwah.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.